What's up, Silver Stackers? Thank you for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. Buy commodities now, worry about the recession later. From the one and only Goldman Sachs, which couldn't be any more true. Skip all the fear and worrying and uncertainty and doubt and just put your money where your mouth is. When you're at least buying and preparing, you're taking out the emotional attachment, which is where irrational decision making comes in. Invest with your head, not your heart. When you're trying to contemplate and debate and spread FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, doubt, catastrophizing, reading all these articles that's only going to make things worse for you, you're just putting yourself in a situation that's lose-lose. The person that's cool, calm, collect, steps out of the situation, just looks at his options, which there is no options. There's only one alternative, which is precious metals. But that guy is going to be a lot more successful compared to someone who's very skittish and panicky and reading all this stuff that's only going to make him more fearful and all this. Which one of those two people you think is going to be more successful? The guy that's cool, calm, and collect, right? You gotta think rationally. And when you're buying, you're preparing. If you're just thinking, you're not preparing. And the less you prepare, the less prepared you are, which could be fatal. I mean, that could be a life or death situation. So anyways, I love that title. I love that quote. And I kind of want to branch off of that. We're gonna jump into this, but I also did want to jump into another article titled "Silver: A Bullish Inverted Head and Shoulders Pattern in the Making." So we got a couple different things we're going to be talking about in this video. It's going to be a great video. Also, why you should stick through the entire thing, because we will also get to this later. So yeah, before we jump in, I did want to mention, if you want an opportunity to buy some cheap silver, then send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. I have a Silver Slayer deal right now, Britannia's and Krugerrand's at only $4.50 over spot. Send them an email, ask what else he has in stock, let them know Silver Slayer sent you. They will be more than happy to hear that. I also think it's really beneficial to build a relationship with the direct supplier instead of just a third-party site where you don't know who's behind that screen filling the order. Andy will always make things right with you. Great guy, great opportunity to build a nice business relationship. So the link to these two articles will be in the description. As always, now let's talk silver. Buy commodities now, worry about the recession later, from Goldman Sachs. Sabine Shells, the senior commodity strategist at Goldman Sachs, sees the positive risk-reward for commodities at current levels. Most commodity sectors fell sharply in recent months amid excessive recession fears. Goldman's economists see the market still in a long late cycle stage, with Shells noting that commodities are the best asset to own late cycle. They're the best asset, period. Right? Period. Commodities are the best asset to own as demand remains above supply, despite Fed likely surprising the hawkish side as it continues to grapple with the 40-year high inflation. I mean, I don't see how anything else is even a close second. It's like switching seats on the Titanic. If you're investing or you have anything that's pegged to the dollar, it's going to go down with the dollar. Our strategists are calling for a renewed reduction in risk appetite. We believe the correlation of commodities to other risky assets is set to fall again, Shells wrote in a client note. Along with these lines, Shells sees a positive 12-month forward outlook for commodities, which results in the raised forecast for the S&P, GSCI, and BCOM. And that's going to kind of go along with this second article we'll dive into as they talk about a positive 12-month forward for commodities. Goldman Sachs sees nearly 40% upside potential, which serves as a benchmark for investment in the commodity markets, and that's relating to the S&P GSCI. While Goldman Sachs strategist is cautious on the metals in the near term, she argues that energy and agriculture are likely to lead commodities higher. On a relative basis, oil prices now look cheap compared to global gas prices and even thermal coal, given the run-up in these markets that oil has completely lacked, With oil, the commodity of last resort in an era of severe energy shortages, we believe the pullback in the entire oil complex provides an attractive entry point for long-only investments. Net, we remain very positive on the energy and agriculture sectors despite strong year-to-date price appreciation, she concluded. So, get a little bit of an idea. And by the way, if you want an idea of where silver's headed, oil is also it's a strong there's a strong correlation between oil and silver. So let's check this article out. A bullish inverted head and shoulders pattern in the making. If you don't know what that means from a chart perspective, it's okay. I don't really like to go too deep into the technicals of charts. I look at more of, stacking strategies, what's happening in the economy. Yes, charts are a great way to gauge, but there's so many other variables that charts just cannot, they just cannot give substance to or context to. Prime example, let's say right heading into 2020, right? We had like the U.S.-China trade negotiations, Iran tensions, the Saudi Arabian oil fields getting attacked, and then that led right into 2020, which was, the global situation happening. And on charts, you don't know any of that, because you're just looking at numbers on a screen. But given the context outside of that, you could see that those charts really don't mean anything, especially the coming months and years. So what I try to do is incorporate what the charts are saying just to gauge, on a market level. But then you also have to incorporate everything else that's going to be happening. So just like the weatherman, it might show technically it should be this, but is the weatherman ever accurate? No. So silver is extremely weak lately. No surprise, the USD is refusing to move lower. The intermarket effect of the USD on precious metals is pretty strong. We do expect silver's chart to turn into an inverted head and shoulders setup. Yes, we continue to be bullish silver, strongly bullish even. Our silver forecast was partially achieved earlier in 2022, but our upside target remains intact, if not for 2022, then for 2023. Gold and silver are being hit lately. Admittedly, they are facing a hard time amid a strong US dollar. But we all know that the dollar isn't going to stay strong for long, especially looking at what the FOMC meeting announced last Friday, or Federal Chairman Jerome Powell came out and said, will it get worse? It depends. If the euro will undergo an epic breakdown, we will see lower precious metals prices. We don't think it will happen. It won't get extreme as what we are thinking. We don't exclude a head and shoulders pattern in the US dollar. If, and this is a really big if, this is the pattern that is in the making, we will see an inverted head and shoulders in silver. Our silver chart, which exhibits a 3-month silver cycle, is about to conclude this current 3-month cycle near the lows of the cycle. Can you see the first part of the inverted head and shoulders? We do. The current next 3-month cycle might be the reversal cycles, which, if true, would be insanely bullish long term. I think regardless if there's a head and shoulders pattern, whatever all that BS means, I think regardless, silver is going to be bullish in the long term, given so many other factors as well, regardless of what the chart is showing. And that's kind of what I was saying. The chart might show there should be a head and shoulder from whatever, and that could mean it's bullish. Regardless, I know I know silver is going to be bullish long term. You don't gotta throw a chart in front of my face to try to convince me that. Now, going over the chart, this is pretty interesting. This is the 3-month chart. We can even pull it back to the 6-month chart. You see how it looks like a waterfall? Drops and then plateaus, drops, and then if you look at the 3-month chart, you can see it's even more to a greater extent of volatility wise. But then we go to the 1-month chart and we see it holding around, it tried to hold around $20. And if you look back at like the 3-month chart, it tried to break above again, but it stabilized at 19. Well, if we look at the 1-week chart, you can see it broke below that. And then if you look at the 1-day chart, it's looking like it's holding around 18, but this was looking really bad when we were Thursday-ish, and obviously that's leading up to the FOMC meeting, which was on Friday, And then you see on Friday what happened, and now we're dropping. But now today, since it's Monday, prices are starting to stabilize again. So that's why I was always talking about leading up to the FOMC meetings. Prices are crazy. You never know. You can never take them serious because it's based all off speculation, all off what they assume Federal Chairman Jerome Powell is going to come out and say. And then after he says it, then the market responds, which obviously was negative, even though that should have been positive regarding of what he was talking about. And I should pull up. Actually, I'll link in the description the entire speech he gave. I'll link that in there. I was gonna make an entire video on it, but we already know. I mean, it's just we already know what's the inevitable, which is the dollar collapsing. I even remember back a couple months ago, probably like 3 or 4 months ago, in one of his meetings, he announced, and he actually said, I have a clip of it. He announced that someday he does see another currency coexisting or even replacing the dollar. He said that. He said coexisting, living with the dollar, or even replacing it. With Bitcoin is already coexisting with the dollar, basically. But does he mean Bitcoin could replace the dollar? I don't think it would be Bitcoin. I think it would be something a little more stabilized, like USD coin, which is pegged to the dollar, even like Tether's pegged to the dollar, or a crypto that is also controlled by the central bank, like Ripple. Like Ripple's owned by the banking system. But regardless, that always stuck with me, that even he admitted that to the public, that he does see a currency coexisting or even replacing the dollar someday. And I think that's his way of just letting people kind of know, hey, you're so used to, our currency just being this standard, but we're coming in a day and age where that could change. If you think about a sci-fi movie, like think about a movie like 30, 40, 50 years in the future, even like 100 or whatever. You think of the currency being digital. You don't, in a sci-fi movie in the future, you don't see them carrying cash around in their pocket. No, it's all something scanning. We're even going into, a cashless nations. Everything's digital, right? There's Bitcoin ATMs, there's mobile banking, everything's on a card now. It's all swiping and scanning and QR codes, and we're advancing in a new digital age, and I think that's not just going to translate into our technology, but also our money as well. But regardless, precious metals is the only thing of intrinsic value, because even when we're talking about a digital currency, that doesn't mean squat in terms of something that holds value, because precious metals are the only investment that is intrinsic value within itself, because you can hold it. If you can't hold it, you don't own it. And that could also apply to cryptocurrency as well. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I'll post a link to these 2 articles in the description. I'll also post Federal Chairman Jerome Powell's Jackson Hole speech in the description if you want to check that out as well. Things are pretty crazy. I know I saw a couple, like Kitco News reacted to it, and it was pretty insane, so to say the least. So yeah, anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Thanks for tuning in. Go check out if you want to buy some silver or whatever you want, send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Silver Slayer sent you. You can ask what they have in stock. Their site will be up soon, but it's just as easy buying from them through email. You might be a little hesitant doing that, but they have billions. They've sold billions of dollars in silver. They're very trusted. Even like some of the big dogs are partnered with them. Even Big Swear, David Morgan, those guys. Andy Schectman is all partnered with them. You don't got to worry about anything. And if for some reason, they've never had a negative review since they've been in business for 45 years. Never had a negative review. And if something were to happen, Andy would make it right. I'm not saying that would happen, but I'm saying, like, no matter what, you're covered with them. They'll always make it right with you. Great guys. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.